What's up and welcome to Idle Insights, a show where each week I, Treavor Bettis, talk to interesting people about Idle champions and Dungeons & Dragons. And I've got two people here again to talk about One for All. Joining me today is Eva Devore and Elliot Ryan. Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Welcome back, Elliot. And welcome to the show,
Hey.
even for the first time. If folks in the chat don't know who the two of you are, who are you for those fine folks you may not know?
Oh, I am Eva Devore, and I play Evandra, the half-elf fighter in One for All, which is a D&D inspired comedy fantasy web series created by Elliot.
Yeah, hey guys. If you're not sick of me for the I think this is the third time you'll be seeing on my face on this this Twitch channel. Yeah, hey, I'm Elliot. I am the writer, director, and creator of One for All, which Eva already described. So that I'm so grateful that I don't have to do that. You know, the elevator pitch. You know, you work on it every single time. You say it a million times. You're like, oh, I'm so tired of doing this. So it's great when somebody else does my job for me.
I know exactly how you feel, actually. I hate elevator pitches in general, but then yeah, when you go through them so many times, it's almost wild when you hear someone else say it, because you're like, that's the thing. I didn't. Oh yeah.
and I'm like, oh yeah, that is a great way to describe it. I think I've been saying it wrong the whole time.
Take notes for next time.
We're gonna take that one out. We're gonna do that. Okay, cool. Well, Eva, welcome to the show. And Elliot, I don't think anyone is tired of you. If they're gonna get tired of me way before you.
Well, I'm not tired of you yet.
Hey, I'll take it. Eva, I'm gonna start things off with the way that I always like to start these shows off with new guests is, how did you get into D&D?
Oh, well, I have always been a big kind of fantasy nerd. From my sort of discovery of Lord of the Rings when I was quite young. I think I was maybe around 10 or so when Fellowship came out. I've just aged myself. There you go. And it sort of just, I don't know, I remember seeing it and it kind of just rocked my world and threw me into this big love of fantasy that I think was already brewing, but that was the first time I kind of saw that huge, epic fantasy thing play out, and I was obsessed ever since. But it wasn't until, I'm going to say about 8 years ago now, I was in a relationship and that person introduced me to D&D and ran a game with some friends. It was actually I think it was actually a Pathfinder game, not D&D, but I was immediately hooked. And then I started reading about 5e because that was sort of what was around as well, and just dove straight in and was obsessed immediately. I was like, wait, so it's like the fantasy epics I love, but I get to interact and like play in them?
Yeah.
So yeah, I kind of was hooked really, really quickly with that one.
Awesome.
Yeah, and sort of have been loving it ever since.
So I'm gonna do a follow-up question here, because you start off with another one first and then found 5th edition. Were you a player in 5th edition first, or did you DM first?
That's a great question. I think I played in a one shot first, and then I DM'd the second time.
Okay, there you go.
So I pretty much, yeah, played once and then DM'd. But I really like my D&D podcasts and streams and things. I'm a massive critter. I love Dimension 20. I love a whole bunch of them.
You did a cosplay of one of the Critical Role characters, right?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. I really, really enjoy Critical Role and a whole lot of streams. So I guess it's that kind of thing as well. Even back before I was playing a lot, when you watch a lot of streams, you sort of absorb it all by like sitting in on other people's games. So once I got to actually playing and even DMing 5e, I think I'd already been sort of listening to a lot. So
been
it sort of helped
absorbed,
me
yeah.
feel like I'd had a little bit more experience than I did.
Yeah, that's awesome. I like that. When I do tell people that, like, it's like it doesn't matter like what exposure you've had to it, to just give it a shot. Like I used to run games at a bookstore, like getting people into it, and one time there was like this group of 4 people who, like, they were wearing Critical Role shirts. Like I was like, I very much know what fandom you're in, and I was like, "Do you want to play?" And they were still just like, I don't know." And they like kind of sat off to the side and like watched us play, and they're still like, "Yeah, I'm not ready yet, but maybe next time."
Honestly, though, some of the best games I've had, or the best players I've had, are people who it's their first time. They
Yes.
don't know anything about the rules. They have no idea, because you get these awesome situations where people just try stuff and they're not
Mhm.
limited by the rules as written.
Yeah.
And I think it could be so cool, because people just have these really awesome out of the box, like, role play thinking, rather
Yeah.
than, I think when you've been playing a long time, you sort of think about the rules quite a lot.
Mhm.
So I love it when people dive in that haven't played before. I think you get some really awesome situations out of that.
Yes. I always love telling a first-time player, "Tell me what you want to do,
Yeah.
and we'll figure out how it works," because that just lets them
Exactly.
go wild.
Yeah. It's like, don't worry about any of that stuff on the
Yeah.
piece of paper. You just tell me what you want, and then we'll see if it works.
I have the Excel spreadsheets back here. You don't worry about those.
Yeah. Exactly.
So Elliot, continuing with my making a new question each time for you, because we can't just talk
Yeah.
about your same how'd you get into D&D question. Tell me about the first time you DM'd.
Well, it was actually quite recently. It
Oh.
was for Dragons of Stormwreck Isle, because we
Ooh.
did an ad for Hasbro to, you know, announce that that was coming out.
Mhm.
And then we were just like, there's a lot of people on the you know, the extras who we frequently get. My very good friend who has never played D&D before. I'm like, it would be really fun if we got like some sets of this to run these people who've never actually played D&D but have been a part of the show for, like, you know, many
Mhm.
episodes now. Show them what it's all about. And so we got some sets, and I was like, well, somebody's got to run this thing, because otherwise it's not happening.
The way most DMs end up doing it.
Yeah. So, you know, it's supposed to be like quite a short campaign, but working with a lot of you know, as you guys were just talking about before, like first time players, first time energy. These people who I was playing with, they hadn't watched Critical Role, they hadn't done any of those other things. They'd only known about Dungeons and Dragons through One for All, and so they were
That's
kind of
wild.
using that
Oh
as a
no!
how-to guide.
Oh no!
So, you know, it's like, as a DM, you're like, I have a story to tell. What's in this book is what we're doing. But also they have so much like just like enthusiasm and excitement that they're like, I want to take this completely off the rails straight away. And you're just always trying to find that middle ground. Like, okay, well, I want you to have fun. I want you to be creative. Do the thing that you want to do. But also, I only have the words on the page.
You just... Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, it always reminds me of when we meet people who watch the show and they're like, "Oh, I use your characters as inspiration in my game at home," and we're just like, "I'm so sorry, DM. Please don't do what we do. We're not good people. We're not good players."
That's kind of the whole point of the show.
Yeah,
like we
Oh, go ahead.
we jokingly call the show "It's Always Sunny in the Forgotten Realms." Like, they're a bunch of assholes.
It was either Tom or Elliot described the show as that the episode I had with them, and I'm like, no, that's 1,000. Yep, that checks out completely. You have put in my head though the idea of this person that, like, somehow I was a Miss D&D all over, stumbled on one of y'all's videos, watched the entire thing, is like, I want to play D&D now, and they come to their table, they're like, I made Mixie.
Yeah, I think it happens. Because we've also put out like character sheets for our players, and given them all like special fun little abilities. So I think there are quite a few people who are actually like running the party as NPCs in their home games. And I both want to and don't want to know how that turned out for them.
I hope they're the villains.
That would be cool, actually. That'd be really awesome.
It'd be so funny if like it was like a game where there was this like group of antagonists, they were doing these horrible things, and you're like following around trying to figure out who it is. You finally find it, it's the one for all party. And they're just
yeah, what did I do?
What do you mean we're the villains? You've been following us for how long?
I don't even know who you are.
Oh man, that's the great inverse, that they don't remember the BBEG or the heroes that are going after them. Beautiful, I love it. Okay, so let's talk a bit about Avondra. How did the character of Avondra come about?
So yeah, at the very start there was a little bit, I think, of back and forth between Elliot and myself, because I know Elliot was trying to figure out the best party comp to sort of complete the party, because we had the bard was obviously quite an obvious choice. I think you'd already decided that you wanted a spellcaster, like a wizard or a sorcerer of some kind. And then so the last archetype was the martial class. I know we were looking, there was like, it was going to be 5 characters at one point, and then it went back down to 3, but there was a bit of debate whether Evandra was going to be a fighter or a paladin or a cleric. Like there was sort of a few different ways that could go. I pretty much adamantly was like, I want to be an elf. Like that was my main sort of thing. I was like, I want to be an elf. I gotta be an elf. That's my dream. So
well, I mean, like that worked out because like we wanted more fantasy races.
Yeah.
And elf ears are the easiest thing to just slap a pair of ears on someone. It's
not a full body paint job. So
yeah. It's great. We kind of have the full spectrum from like Thomas rolls out of bed onto set and is ready. And then, we've got Fall has to do the full body paint, makeup, prosthetics, the whole bit. I'm sort of in the middle. A little bit. I got some scars now. That's fun.
Yeah.
A fun hairstyle. But yeah, I knew I wanted to be an elf, and I was excited to be like a tough guy martial class. I think that's really fun. And so Evandra was kind of born out of that to complete that party. And that was really, really fun. I also like that she's not necessarily the like ideal class race combo. I think like a lot of people sometimes look at that and go, oh, well, elves aren't usually fighters. Like, why wouldn't you be like an orc or a dwarf or something tough? And I'm like, hey,
I would like to see Evandra Goliath.
Big woman.
The funny thing
is
you say that, but I played the Dragon Age Origins as an elf warrior.
What's wrong with you?
I couldn't get spells in that game to work.
But yeah, I really like that she's sort of challenging that idea of elves in a way. Like elves could be tough guys. Everybody's different.
Yeah, absolutely. So with that in mind, Elliot, like how did you set about like writing Avondra?
Well, like you wanted because it started out as like almost like a parody of the tropes. We needed that like tough like fighty guy. And so I basically was just writing Evandra as like female Geralt.
I like that.
So, you know, I think as we started, she was a lot more like simplistic, just like, you know, bravado, like tough guy, always like, you know, takes on more than she can handle. Just because she thinks she can. So it's like, you know, in I think episode 2, she's like, yeah, I can totally just bend a halberd with my bare arms. Like, okay.
That is actually one of my favorite Avondra scenes.
It was such a fun scene because, like, I know we played with a little bit. I just love the like handing it back and the little like pat and then leaving and like.
Yeah, like that sort of like stubbornness, and it's almost like cat like feline energy when you know, they do something so embarrassing and they just pretend like nothing happened. I'm just walking away. Goodbye.
It's like when my cat tries to jump out at me and surprise me when nothing happens. She's like, "No, fine." Just go over in the living room then. Fine, whatever.
Yeah, or when like my cat, she'll like fall off something and then she just sits there and starts grooming herself. It's like I was just here the whole time.
I totally meant to do that. That's how I get off of that's how I get off of there, you know.
It's quite funny. Like I've always sort of approached playing Evandra with a lot of those like kind of like macho gym bro, like slightly toxic, like masculine energies, and just basically transported that into a half elf female. And I think that's sort of, it's really capturing that sort of like bravado and like, you want to go, let's go, like.
Like, especially the times that like Avondra just like straighten up shoulders and just like, I'm just gonna walk in there like this.
The wide stance.
Yeah,
she's always elf spreading, like taking up space.
Elf spreading. That's incredible. I love it. Well, so one thing I realized I kind of forgotten to ask in the other episodes that I'll ask here is how do you go about writing the player part of these videos? Like, do you have Eva in mind when you're writing the player scenes, or do you have like a different character in your head for them at the table?
So like in my mind, I do have like a vague idea of who these people are outside of the game.
Okay.
So it's like you know, for example, Eva, I imagine she works in an office. She's like the kind of middle management type. So, you know, she is dealing with idiots all day, every day. And then, you know, to unwind, she comes to the D&D game and like, you know, to take out her frustrations, she just wants to hit things.
I think that's valid.
That's relatable.
Yeah, and so like when you work the office job, you're like, you know, you're doing at least 40 hours a week, even more. You don't have time for rules. You don't have time for like, you know, elaborate backstories and like evil monologues and stuff. You're gonna get to the fun stuff.
Yeah. You are making me realize that when I was working my dead-end office job, I may have made the explodey wizard that only exploded things. So yeah, that kind of tracks. So okay, so I do want to pivot over to this one because we talked about before starting to record. Eva, you've done a lot of costume work on this show. How did that come about, and like where has that gone?
So I guess it's sort of funny. So I never set out to be an actor. Out of everything, the acting's the kind of thing that I fell into with One for All. I'm a performer, I'm a dancer, but usually like live and on stage. I've not, before One for All, I hadn't done much screen acting at all, apart from some things here and there with Deerstalker Pictures. So when the show first started, when we first sort of got together to make this happen, it was pretty much just the cast and Goldie and Elliot and maybe like I don't know, one other person helping out. Like the whole creative team was the four of us and Goldie and Elliot, and that was it. So everyone was sort of bringing their skills to the table. So for that very, very first episode, like us as the actors all brought our own outfits, all kind of brought our own costumes to the table. So season 1's costuming, pretty much like all of the main characters were created by their actors. And then Kendall's different costumes were sort of created as like a bit of a mix from different sources. But I guess as season 1 went along and it started to get somewhere and we were like, uh-oh, this is the thing now. We need to start treating this like a real thing now. And it started snowballing. It sort of became something that needed a little bit more of like a focus. So when we got to season 2, I started to take on more of the costuming for the show. And I think by season 3, I was doing pretty much all of it. Season 2, I helped with some of the main trio costumes and then did all of the other costumes. And then season 3, I did pretty much everything. And that was the same for seasons 3, 4, and 5. So that was really cool. My actual background, like I went to uni for costume and I worked in theater and film and all that kind of thing. So
that's awesome.
Costume design and costume making is sort of my vocation. And then it was really cool to kind of be able to use that in the show and get to create and source and put together kind of, I don't know, it was really fun to like build that fantasy world in 3D in real life, because that's something I've always loved about playing D&D is the world building aspect. So a lot of like production design is real time, real life world building, which is really fun. I love all of those things, like thinking about like what fabrics and what accessories and what bits and pieces reflect different parts of the character you're dressing. So it was so great to get to kind of bring those loves together.
So were there any like new challenges to doing like this? I don't know if you did like any more fantasy stuff beforehand, but was there anything that like challenged you in that way?
Definitely.
The whole show.
Look, I mean, every single costume designer you ever ask will say budget. That's always the biggest challenge. But the second biggest challenge is that Elliot kept coming to me and being like, hey, I want this creature. Let's make it happen within budget. I'm just like, yeah. So that's how I built a bear owl. I made the Dogglebark bear owl with all of its winged,
well, I love it.
Glory. And it was so great because in our design meeting, Elliot was like, I basically want it to look like really bad taxidermy. Like, you know, when taxidermy's been done by someone who's maybe not great or just getting started, or it's really old, it's falling apart, like bad taxidermy was the brief. So that's why the head's got like these cursed bug eyes. Truly.
And now it's a familiar in Idle Champions.
Look how far we've come. But and then, you know, going from that, like I built an Aarakocra mask, which was really cool. That was
you did that? That's fantastic.
Yeah, that was really fun to
Those were so good.
Yeah, so that was great. I was quite pleased then seeing like the Aarakocra in the Dungeons & Dragons movie. I was like, yes, solidarity with the team. I know what that's like.
You actually beat WotC to the screen with a live action Aarakocra. That's fantastic. Okay, so I told you beforehand that before I've asked Ellie to pick his favorite child. I'm gonna ask you that now. What has been your favorite costume?
Ooh, that's a tricky question. I'm like, do I pick ones that look cool or do I pick ones that are really cursed? We kind of have both.
I mean, the cursed ones can always have like a good story behind them and everything. So
That's true. Ooh. I mean, in terms of just making cool things, I really enjoyed making the Aarakocra mask because it was something new,
Mm-hmm.
but it came up so well and it was such a cool skill.
Mm-hmm.
I also just really love Anandale's costume for his second appearance. The first time we made Anandale was like, I think I had to whip it up quite quickly. And so we were like, okay, we got to hit these beats with it. What do we want? We want like priest robes. We want this little Pope hat, like that kind of thing. But getting to revisit it for our fourth season when we could kind of design it a little bit more was so much fun. And I remember finding these amazing like tentacle fingers. I was like, Elliot, what if we gave him a little tentacle finger?
I had actually bought those for a friend for a birthday one time. And so when I saw that, I'm like, ah!
It's too much fun.
Sam Wade, who plays Anadali, is a good friend of mine, and I just knew in my head I could see how we would use it, and I was like, "This will be," and it was like wobbling around. Just that pointer was great. But that was a really fun costume to put together and just have create that character.
That is a wild character.
I mean, the character itself is all Elliot's creation. I played with that character actually in D&D, and
I'm so sorry.
Oh, you were there for that one. Oh.
I was there for that one, and it was. I'm pretty sure he get ants in his pants, and then he Eldritch blasted himself, and then died.
Yeah, look, it's the thing. It happens to the best of us, all right? You know, how else would you get ants off your body?
Whomst among us hasn't had that?
You should make that into a one shot. That was a great moment.
Okay.
I think Sam blast.
Just that has just completely grinded my brain to a halt on that one. Okay,
I mean, he's undead, so it's like this is even before I think they're called reborns, right?
Yeah,
they were even in the game. And so we were just like homebrewing. Okay, well, I guess he is dead, so he would kind of like regrow his legs over a certain amount of time.
as you do
because I think it was like, yeah, he's like a corpse that is being piloted by the Zazkadoth, his hat.
Yeah, as you do. like a little Ratatouille moment.
Yeah.
With an eldritch horror. I love it. Just the little tentacles pulling the hair.
We need that animated Pixar movie.
That definitely sounds more like a DreamWorks joint, I'm gonna be honest. So Eva, what I'm gonna make you pick another favorite child here. What has been your favorite episode?
Ooh. I mean, the easy answer is always Bardic Inspiration, because that one was just really, really cool.
Mm-hmm.
I think we got to do a really lot of cool stuff there, and do a whole bunch of really fun like action and that kind of thing. So that was really fun. But I guess my favorites, I always love Murder Hobo from season 1, just because it was really funny and very relatable for a lot of people.
Is that the one with the killing the dude on the side of the road?
Yeah.
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 Yeah, nothing. He's just sleeping. No, it's fine.
Yeah. So that one was a lot of fun. I think that was when we were because that was back in season 1, and it was the first time that I think Evandra stopped just being like tough guy macho party leader vibes, and then it was like, oh, hang on, she's just as bad as the rest of them. So that was really funny to kind of have that point there. And then I also really love I actually love the episodes that have Lithrin, the cleric, in them.
Yes.
I just really love acting alongside Solo Cosplay. She's hilarious. And particularly, even though I didn't have to do much in it, Revivify, where I'm dead for a lot of it, I just think there's some brilliant, like, funny moments in that. Like, it's just so funny. From like Nixie like dragging Evandra's like dead body over to it's just such a funny episode. It always makes me laugh.
Oh yeah, I think you like that one because you got to play dead the whole time. Like
hey,
napping on
listen,
set.
I was allergic to that hay and I had a time. I nearly died that day. It was a whole journey. The Portaloo nearly fell on me.
Oh my god.
Our cursed episode. Look, when we got there on that location,
that was the raining one, right?
No,
it was
a
different one.
It was a different one. We got there in the morning, and there were 4 headless chickens on our location. So I think that was some witchcraft there.
Yeah,
the night before.
I think Anandale had been there. Like
that was his breakfast.
That was on holy ground, and it was like, yeah, it was like a whole bunch of things, just like comedy of errors. Things were like falling down, and it was. I'm surprised we all survived.
Yeah, look, I think the company who delivered the Portaloo didn't like lock the wheels on the trailer, and so as the first person to use it, unfortunately, was Eva. And as soon as she steps up, it just like the whole thing just tips forwards, throws her. I think it threw you on your ass.
It threw
right?
me out onto my back, and then it started like falling towards me, and I was like, "This is it. I'm gonna die, crushed by a toilet."
Oh my god!
Luckily, the like top end of the trailer stopped it from tilting, so it just stopped to like an angle over me, and I was just laying there like, "Wow."
Yeah.
Wow.
That is
septic
wild.
water.
Oh boy.
And then like a couple of hours later, there was like really strong wind that day, and then I had the exact same moment. I was lying on my little straw hay bale, and we had like flat sets, like facades made to look like a town, a burning village, and so there was this really strong wind, and it pulled the pegs and things out of the ground, and so the set started falling towards me. I'm like, here we go again.
Oh my god. Yeah, that I get why that you said that was the cursed filming day. Yeah. There was some weird vibes on that set.
Like, I know that I was supposed to be like dead and revived, but I didn't want to get that method with
the
it.
spirits are like, wait, I thought she's supposed to be dead. She's moving around too much. Let's fix that. Blow that one over. Jeez. But
hey, it's like you can't even tell in the episode, like all the bad stuff that happened.
No, once again, never would have guessed. Never would have guessed.
It was just such a funny day. Like it's a good memory because it was just, I remember us all being like, what is happening? Like, why is this random stuff happening? The chickens were not a good omen.
The chickens were not a good omen.
But fun story. Our sound recorders for the day, there was one chicken that was still alive.
Oh,
and
no.
The sound recordist was like, oh no, it's a good story, don't worry.
Okay.
It's not a sad ending.
Okay.
A happy ending. All right. So the sound recordist was like, I have always wanted to raise chickens. So I guess, all of this guy's friends are dead, so I guess I'll take it home and raise a chicken. But guys, what should I call the chicken?
Oh no.
And Eva was there.
He named it Avondra. Thereby breaking the curse.
There you go. That's how you were set free. That is really good. I like that.
I wonder what happened to Evandra.
I actually got a message from him not that long ago. He said that after a happy life, Evandra the chicken passed away peacefully of natural causes.
Oh.
Not decapitated.
Not decapitated
in a field.
Saved from a much better fate, yeah. You were talking about Vlithrid there for about the cleric, and I also like I love that character interacting with the group so much so that when I was in the meeting for the Avondra and they were like, okay, here's what the equipment's gonna be. The first one is gonna be Avondra's severed arm. I already know what the flavor text is.
Yeah.
Like instantaneously, like I'm going to make a callback to Vlithrin on this one.
That's one of my other kind of favorite Evandra moments, was from that episode. I just really love that interaction where the others are like, oh, I have a broken heart, I have jam on my finger, like nothing. And then Evandra's just like, what? No, I'm fine. Go away. I'm busy. I got fighting to do. And she's like,
you're missing your arm?
it's so funny. It's just really good.
It totally embodies the fighter thing to it too. It's like you're sitting around a table and everyone's just like, oh man, I'm at like 22 hit points. Oh man, and the fighter's just like, yeah, I'm pretty bad. I'm at 76 out of 200.
It's like they've lost so much. So like so many hit points that you're like, obviously you're going to be seeing physical damage, but they're still going.
In the grand scheme of the party, they're still not that low.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. I think that's such a embodying moment for Evandra, which is why I'm so glad that the arm has made it into Idol Champions, because
I can't believe that she just beats other people, other enemies with their arms. Like
it's so great.
Like when I heard the concept, I was like, oh yeah, I mean that would be really fun. There's no way they can pull that off. And then it's just like we see the sheet with all the animations on it. It's like, holy crap, they went there.
It's my favorite. I love it so much. Like from all the way back in Murder Hobo, when I think Archie's is like, I've never seen someone kill a man with another man. And it's just like, I just love it. It's peak Evandra, improvised weapons.
Yeah. The first time I saw the animation of it with the arm flies up, grabs it, and then just yep, there you go. Perfection. The art team knocked that out of the park.
It's so good.
Well, Eva, I want to ask you, because like I've talked to Tom and Fall about, obviously the characters y'all portray on screen isn't exactly who you might play at the table. So what kind of characters do you normally kind of go towards when you're playing a character?
Ooh, I really love role play as a player. I really love characters that I can dive into that have like a really strong like background and characterization. So I think all of my characters that I play are quite different. I do really enjoy the heavy hitting classes. I love playing a barbarian. Barbarians are so much fun. I love playing clerics. I really love clerics because they have the reputation as being the soft little healer, but no. Battle clerics are a lot of fun.
Oh yeah.
Currently I'm playing a sorcerer, which is a lot of fun. My first ever character, the first time I ever played any kind of D&D was a sorcerer, so it's kind of fun to come back to that.
That was also my first kind of character as a sorcerer.
Yeah. So that's been a fun kind of full circle moment. I enjoy druids. Yeah.
What do you have like a type of personality that you usually try to do with them, or do you try to make them as varied as you can?
I usually try to make them quite different. Like it's really informed by the backstory of the character that I'm playing. So I'm playing in a campaign at the moment, and my character, the sorcerer, is kind of a homebrewy take on a Warforged that we've put into Faerun. But she, if you've ever seen the movie Alita, Battle Angel.
Oh yeah, I love that movie.
She's basically kind of like that. So through some artificer magic stuff, she's ended up as this like magic mechanical cyborg.
That's awesome.
person. So she's basically, instead of a glass cannon, she's a porcelain cannon. So she's got like this porcelain and gold body, and she's got no hit points. And we made this really, my DM made this amazing kind of system where if she dips below a third of her hit points, her body parts start breaking down.
Oh,
so
dang.
I have a table that I roll a d6 on of what parts of her actually go offline. And it's really, really fun because like I'm just waiting for the moment that I get like the Anakin Skywalker like crawling out of the lava with like one working arm and like casting spells from that in the middle of battle. Like, yeah, it's a really fun thing to play with. Like I really like combining mechanics and like role play to create those really interesting scenarios. So yeah.
That is some of like my favorites for homebrew. Is like, it's not specifically stuff that's like this is gonna make the character OP or anything. It's like, no, this fits into who the character is. It is also more of a drawback than anything else, but it fits that theme.
I think it's something that's kind of nice if you've played like a bit of D&D, like quite a lot of D&D. It's fun to start doing those things because I think people who have played a bit of D&D know that sometimes failing stuff makes for a better story. Like you want those character moments, because that's where that real satisfaction is like getting these really cool character moments. So I really like those mechanical things that let you play with the different elements of character, things that will affect that. Some games will have like madness or insanity things you have to roll for, or different things like that. So I really enjoy that extra challenge that you have to role play through. Is really, really fun. So it was really great with this character as well, because as we started, she was keeping her mechanical parts a secret. So that was very fun when she went offline in battle the first time. And everyone was like, what?
She okay? She's just kind of standing there.
What?
The like the window shutdown music plays. That's awesome. So Ellie, I asked you a similar question before, but this time going on the DMing part of it, what would you say is your DMing style?
I think for me, one of the things that I had picked up from games I'd played and like other sort of like things I'd seen online, knowing that these guys that I was running through first time players, I really wanted to make sure that like they got like the full experience and they had fun while doing it. And so like I know in some of my games, it's like, for example, like when I played Anandale, and it's like, all right, what am I doing this turn? I don't know, probably just going to do an Eldritch Blast. And you sit around waiting for your turn, and then you roll the dice, you miss, and it's like, okay, cool. Well, I guess I'll wait till next turn to do anything.
That is usually how my rolls go for every time I'm a player ever. Yes.
yeah. Like it is a mood. And I think like, you know, if you have played a few games, you can definitely like, you know, just be patient and wait through that. But if that's your first experience playing D&D, you might be like, well, it's a little boring. And so for me, I was really trying to make every single roll, no matter what, affect the story in some meaningful way. So even if it's like, you know, oh, we just get like a, you know, you missed, you rolled a natural one. Here's something funny that happened because of it. You get a little story beat that's like, haha, we laugh, we move on, we try again next time. And if it's just like right on the cusp, I think those are the hardest ones to like make it feel like you have an impact on the story. Because you just didn't quite get there. But you know,
I actually on the show recently heard a homebrew rule for that I fell in love with, and I actually implemented in my home game. If players are, if they are one off, you ask them, okay, describe how you turn this into a success. and you give them the opportunity to like role play out that scene. It was like, oh well, I missed, but then I bring it back the other way and get him there, and you give them that extra +1 to hit. And I'm like, I love that, because nothing feels worth it to be like, it's 1 off. I'm sorry.
I love that. I love that as a way to sort of encourage that role play and that
Yeah.
creative thinking as well, because I think at the end of the day, like D&D is about creating stories and telling those stories at the table. So you want to just reward your players for being involved in that way, which rather than just being like, oh, well, you didn't hit the number, so too bad.
So like one of my players, because she'd only seen One for All and was going off that, she thought that me as the DM and her as the player, we were actually fighting against ech other. Like we were not on the same side.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's some DMs that play that way. Let's be real.
I'm sure there are. But I mean, like for me, I wanted to, hang out with my friends and have a good time, have fun, and like, sure, I fudged some numbers behind the scenes. But as long as my players are having a good time, then I'm sure all of those players would be very keen to play D&D again. So I think I might have got them hooked.
Good. That's awesome. I love that. Well, I've actually run out of questions, and we're almost out of time for this episode. Somehow, almost 50 minutes has already gone by. Eva, Elliot, thank you so much for taking time today and sit down with me to talk about Evandra and One for All. If people wanted to find y'all and what you do on the interwebs, where could they do so?
Eva?
You can find me on the social media as Eva Devore. On Insta, that's Eva_Devore, but you just search Eva Devore, it all comes up. And you can see me on One for All as Evandra, which I'm sure Elliot will tell you where to find that.
Yeah, so that is going to be on Dear Stalker Pictures YouTube channel. You can look up One for All, and if that doesn't come up, look up One for All D&D, and that definitely will.
I love it. And you can unlock Avondra right now in game. We're in the past where Avandra's not in the game. You're living in the awesome future where she is. So go unlock her, start getting that equipment, and just kicking butt with a mechanical arm that you took off your enemy.
Just go out there and kill a man with another man. It's the way to do it.
No, we didn't say that.
In game.
In the game.
Don't
only in the game. In the game.
We're watching you, chap. Once again, thank you all so much for joining me today. That's going to do it for this week's episode of Idle Insight. So until next week, take care of yourself.